A lot of people, when they learn languages, they want to go ahead and learn one word at a time. Just memorize English to target language. I speak Chinese, so I'll just use that as the example language for all of my points I'm going to make. But they're going to go ahead and try to learn word by word. After they learn it, they don't know how to use this word in a sentence. They might know the literal meaning, word for word, but they don't know the grammar. They don't know what context to use it in. So ultimately, when they're trying to speak, becomes kind of useless that they have learned this word. I would say the biggest thing that helped me when I was getting my Mandarin fluent, and this started all the way back in the beginner stages. You don't even have to be intermediate to use this strategy, but I would say you need to learn sentences. You should learn full sentences, not try to learn word by word. What do I mean by that? I'll use Chinese as the example. There's a sentence that I still remember from the first year learning Chinese. It's 你住在哪儿? What that means is word by word, it means you live at where, okay? That's not the proper grammar in English. You would say, where do you live? But in Chinese, you would literally say, you live at where? And actually, to even illustrate my point further, in English, we use the word live. Like, I'm going to live a long time. Use it in this context, like life. It also means the location where you stay, where you go home to every night. That's also live. But in Chinese, these are two completely different words. 住 is only used for where you physically live at, like where you stay, where you habitate, I guess. So if you're learning word by word, you're going to see 住. It means to live. But that doesn't, so then you might end up saying to someone, I want to live a long time, but use 住. And a Chinese person, if they heard you say this, they would be completely confused, have no idea what you're talking about, because to them, these are two entirely different concepts. You're not able to do direct word translations to form sentences. It's just not sensible. That's not how we learn languages as a child. So my, I guess, prerogative is to get you to start learning entire sentences. And I started learning Chinese already more than 10 years ago. That's just one example for some reason that's especially stuck in my head. 你住在哪儿? And the reason, I'm not really sure, but it just illustrates that point that these sentences stick with you a long time. And another thing that helps when you learn a full sentence, especially if you have a native speaker say the full sentence, is you're going to be able to say it more elegantly. You won't sound as robotic with your speaking. It'll just flow off and it'll all make sense. Because if you learn it word by word, you might say, 你住在哪儿? You're thinking one word at a time. But when you've learned the entire sentence, it just flows out of your tongue. It's just smooth. And I guess the last reason I think it's really important that you learn entire sentences is because the grammar then of any language becomes second nature. You don't have to memorize as many rules. You're learning the full sentence, learning what it means, and then kind of breaking things down to a lower level and seeing word by word what each thing means in the sentence. But for the most part, you're just learning the whole sentence and knowing what the entire sentence means in your native language. And once you do that, the grammar goes from being a very tricky, difficult topic. It gives you a lot of headaches, and it becomes one of the simplest aspects. I think Chinese, to me, really doesn't even have a grammar because it's become so second nature to me. Because I don't even think about like, oh, there's this grammar rule, there's that grammar rule. It's just I want to say something and I say it. And sometimes actually I think of, like, when I'm speaking Chinese, since I don't directly translate word by word, I'm just directly speaking whatever comes to my brain. Sometimes it becomes even hard to translate certain sentences into English word for word, because it's kind of just like the vibe of the sentence. You know what you're trying to say, and you say it, but then when you translate it back to English, you don't use the exact same word choices. Like, maybe in Chinese, if someone said the equivalent of, "Which product do you want?" And then I'm with my family when we were traveling in China, I would just say to my family, like, they're asking, "What do you want?" Like, I wouldn't really, like, I just know what was said and just say it directly. It's not ever really translating word for word. And yeah, someone might use the word gigantic in Chinese, and I might just like, if I'm translating it, say the word big, because I didn't think, ooh, if you open up a Chinese to English textbook, the word for this should actually be gigantic. No, I would just say like big, because I'm not even directly translating. It's just however I interpret this entire sentence, that's what comes out. And I don't know if professional translators do that as well, but I would assume so, because translating word for, maybe there's to such a high level that they just have it so ingrained in them to say the exact textbook words, but for the most part, that's not how a language works. If you're still directly translating word for word in the language you've been learning, then you still have a long way to go. But when the languages start to be second nature, that's when you really know that you're on the right path. So don't learn words anymore. You should start learning sentences.